And welcome back to Music Free Static. I hope you're having a fabulous day. And a couple of weeks ago, I aired my frustrations about being a small streamer, okay? Whined might have been a better way to put that. But today, I want to talk about what I love about streaming and why having a small audience sometimes is really, really awesome. So, let's talk about streaming first, okay? I love streaming. Okay, I do. Streaming is great, and I love it for a lot of reasons. One, um, honestly, I think the games are more fun when I can share them with someone else. Right? It's not. It's a lot like when you're sitting on a couch playing with a friend, or for a long time I'd sit and play games because that's just what I like to do, and my kids would hang out and we'd chat and laugh at whatever I was playing. Right? Okay, they didn't care much when I was playing Madden, but when I was playing Final Fantasy or Kingdom Hearts, oh yeah, they were all about it, and we had so much fun, right? Laughing about what was going on and talking about that, and that's what I like about streaming too. Okay, because honestly, it's just more fun with people. Okay, that's not to say I don't like to sit and grind out something in Minecraft while I'm watching a movie, because I do, and I said I would probably play Minecraft even if I weren't streaming it, but it's just fun. And there's a second aspect of that is I do like to perform. I liked when I was in band and we got to be up on stage and playing, or when I did improv and things like that, because I love that I don't know, emotional sharing perhaps, right? But the reality is it's fun. I love to make people laugh. And I like to be able to chat with people too, which is the other fun thing. Sometimes what's going on in the game is not the most exciting, like if I'm terraforming or doing something else, but being able to just sit and chat about movies and TV and books and all sorts of other stuff, that's great. I love that stuff. The other side of it is I play Minecraft almost exclusively on stream, and I love the collaboration that we have sometimes. Sometimes it's as simple as like a color suggestion. Okay, do I do the green terracotta or green concrete, or do something really different like orange or pink or whatever? Okay, that can be really cool. And honestly, I have a hard enough time with color theory as it is that getting input from chat really helps. And sometimes there's just really weird build ideas that end up coming from it, right? So a few years ago, I had this sort of castle build, and there was this corner that I decided I needed a statue in it. So I decided to build a creeper statue. And as I was getting started on this thing, one, I had my daughter in the background, and two, had people in chat, and they ended up convincing me to build a creeper pino. Yep, I ended up building a giant jalapeno with a creeper face. It was and a big sombrero. It was really silly, and it was fun, and we laughed a lot about it. It was great, right? And there have been a couple other times too, probably more than a couple over the years, where chat's had a suggestion, and it's like, oh, yep, we absolutely have to build this now. Like it just in my last Create Mod series, I was I was building a little park or something in the city that I had going on, and somebody suggested, you know what you need, or you know what would be great here would be a merry-go-round. It's like I'm in Create Mod, I can make a merry-go-round go round. So yeah, 100% when we built a merry-go-round, and we got villagers on it, and probably chickens and cows and things too, because it's Minecraft. We can do stuff like that. That's not something I would have come up with on my own to do, because that's not where my mind was at. My mind was at like playground, right? It wasn't we need a merry-go-round here. No, that's 100% was not where my mind was at, but that's where we went with it, and it was great. Okay, and that's something that doesn't happen unless I've got unless I'm streaming it and I've got chat there. Okay. And then the last thing, I don't know if it's necessarily the last, but the last thing I like about streaming is I like playing with all the tech. I like dealing with the overlays and the mic and the mixer and the streaming software and all that stuff. Now, I'm also not the type to go mess with it too often once it's set, right? Because hey, it's there, it's working, all right, and I got it set, and let's go. I'm not quite the type that's going to go in and tweak it every couple of weeks or whatever, okay? But I like that stuff. I love being able to do that. You know, just the fact that I've got a microphone on a boom arm connected to a mixer, that's fun for me, okay? It's just cool. And that's something I never would have known about were I not streaming. Now, I've always liked tech. I work in IT. I've played on video games forever. I didn't really get into programming until I got into college, to be honest, and only then because I was a computer science major. but I've always liked tech and all the fun stuff with computers, and this lets me branch out into an area of tech that I would not have done before. And honestly, it's great. Now, I can't justify a lot of the big expensive stuff, right? I don't have an SM7B, for example, as my microphone. I'm not entirely sure I'd pick it even if I had the money for it. I like condenser mics. That's a dynamic mic. I'm not entirely sure that's the way I'd want to go. But so I've got an AT2020. Is it the best microphone ever? No. Yes, and I would absolutely like to upgrade it. I don't know what I would upgrade it to. Okay. Again, that's just one of those things. I want to play with it, but hey, my mic works, so I'm going to go with it. But and things like, okay, I say I like cameras. I like getting it set up. I like making it work, all that fun stuff. I'm not a camera guy, right? So I'm not going to go hunt up, okay, I need a Canon whatever, this big DSLR, aside from the fact I'm not going to drop $4,000 or more on a camera to stream with, okay? The fact that I dropped 100 and some odd for the Link 360 I use for my camera, it was a fair amount of money, but it wasn't. I had some money from gift cards that, okay, yep, I can do this. This is good, and my streams and especially the podcast look a lot better because of it. Plus, my other camera was starting to die, so these are sort of important things. I'm not sure if it was starting to die or it was just stupid. Okay, but regardless, it's great. I love to play with all of that tech. But as fun as the tech is, what I really love about streaming is that interaction with chat. But let's not ignore the elephant in the room. I have a very small audience, okay? A very small audience. There are definitely streams where I'm streaming to nobody. Right? There is just nobody there. And there are times where it's only one or two people, okay? That is my reality, all right? And yes, I would love to have more people in the community. And I mentioned a couple of weeks ago in my frustration video, I don't expect to have or to get like a giant audience, okay? I just don't. But yes, I would love to have more people in the community. But the fact that it's not huge does have some really great benefits for me as a streamer, okay? For one, it's great to see viewers I recognize, right? When I see people come up, they've been watching for years sometimes. It's really great. And I've gotten to know a lot of, well, okay, I say a lot. I've gotten to know a few very amazing people. It's not a lot because my community just isn't that big. But I've gotten to know some great people. And so have they, which is the other thing I love about it. I love the community that starts to build up. Okay. Now, again, it's not large, but because it's not large, we all sort of know each other. At least the regulars, we all know each other. And so we can hang out in the Discord as well as on stream, and we can commiserate about sick pets, or celebrate new jobs and graduations, or laugh about memes and t-shirts and all sorts of fun stuff, and have this sort of a tighter knit community. Okay, no, I don't want to step into all of the parasocial stuff. That gets a little weird, but the fact that we can all just sort of hang out and chat and just be a community is awesome. And that's something that I don't think can happen as much with a larger community. All right. So let me give you an example. I hang out in a couple of Discords of hermits. Okay. So Gemini Tay and Pearlescent Moon and Impulse SV. And I love that they actually have their Discords open. There are a few that I'd like to hang out in, like Tango Tech, but his is Patreon only. So, or actually maybe Twitch sub also. I don't remember exactly where his line is, which is probably great for him in a lot of ways because he can keep that smaller community. But what I end up running into, and I see it a lot, like in Gem's channel for some reason, is one, of course, Gem almost never posts in her own Discord. Okay. Every once in a while she does, and that's awesome. But it's almost, I want to say it's almost too, I don't know, worshipful might be the wrong word, but you get the idea of people in the chat anytime she does post. Which means I think as a streamer, it would be really hard to continue to be I think it would be hard to be part of that community that you've built, right? You've got this great community and you can't really be part of it, right? And that's a concern I have if I were to ever get large. It's something I don't want to lose. But I see some of these, and it's not quite as bad in Pearl's Discord. And I don't know that I've seen Impulse post in his Discord. I know he does have some sub-only channels in there, and I think he probably chats a little bit more in those channels. But in the public ones, I've never seen him. And so it's like he's just, I don't know, if you just get to a certain size, and you can no longer be part of the community you've built. And I that kind of saddens me a little bit. And I worry that if I were to really blow up and start getting large, the audience starts getting bigger. I already blew up and got large. I'm trying to eat right and not be as large. But if the audience gets huge, I worry that I'm going to lose a little bit of the stuff I like because the community is smaller. I think the reality is I'll never have to find out. Okay, but I think there really is a reality there that says, you know what? I don't think you have to worry about it. But still, it would be really cool to see. I'd love to try it. But that's one thing that's one thing I really like. So that, yes, I have a smaller audience, but because of that, we have a tighter knit community, and that's great. So the last question I want to address, and I say this as if somebody's asked me these questions. This is just as I wrote my outline. This is like, there are a few questions I want to address here. But the last one is, will I stop streaming? The answer to that is not if I have a choice. Okay? If I have a choice in the matter, I'm going to keep streaming. I've been streaming for nearly 10 years. Actually, coming up in November, it will be 10 years. And I love it. I still love it. And I look back and realize, okay, I did things horrifically wrong because I didn't know what streaming was when I got started. Because I hadn't really been part of that community as much. Because what I looked at was I was watching Let's Players. Really, I was watching like Achievement Hunter, which was more record for an hour, lightly edit, post. Okay, or sometimes more heavily edit to change scenes. But you know, it's basically here's the hour we actually played for this hour. We're not cutting out much. I wasn't sitting down and watching, you know, streams on Twitch to say, oh, this is what streaming is. Okay. I started, I basically, I would play for 3 hours. I would play a game for an hour and then stop stream and change game and stop stream and change. It wasn't great. And my mic settings were all a mess. You know, all of the typical beginning streamer stuff. And I was streaming from my PS4. So that had its own share of things, right? But I love everything about all that stuff I talked about at the beginning. I love all of that stuff. I don't want to give that up. And the reality is I'm going to play video games until they take my keyboard away. Okay. It's going to be a thing. I'm going to do it because that's just what I like to do. But it's so much more fun with others. And that's why I'm going to keep doing it. Even if I don't get any particular growth. Like I said, I would love to have the community grow, but I'm going to keep streaming no matter what. And I just love it too much to stop. Are there frustrations? Yes. Did I let them sort of get hold of me there for a little while? Yeah. And that's what led to the podcast a couple of weeks ago about the eternal frustrations of being a small streamer. This might be the eternal joys of being a small streamer. Because honestly, I'm going to keep doing it because I love it so much. And my community is awesome. Yes, they're small. I don't have a large community. But that doesn't change the fact that I love it when they're in chat. And I love it when they're in the Discord and we get to chat there. And streaming is weird, okay? Because when you sit and think about it, I remember talking to my mom or something at one point. This was years ago. I was probably still in school. She talked about how, you know, how could anybody watch somebody else play a game? That has got to be so freaking boring. Okay. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, because she wouldn't have used freaking. Not that she would have used profanity. She was probably just would have said, that's just so boring. But honestly, I love watching streams. Now, I don't typically just put it up and just watch a stream. Okay. Streams for me are often something I put in the background. And, you know, so while I'm working, I'll have a stream up and they'll be playing Minecraft, and I've got it shrunk down so it's just tiny in the corner of my screen while I'm working, so that I can, you know, I just use the picture-in-picture feature of my browser. And so I'll be working and I'll, you know, answering email, working on a server, you know, whatever else I've got going on. And I just have in the background, there's Pearlescent Moon chatting away in Australian about, yeah, whatever her awesome build is. And Pearl has awesome builds. Or Impulse SV, as he talks about his, whatever he's got going on, and he's building this thing, and or Tango as he gets into Redstone with whatever game he's building. Yeah, all of that is great. And it's great just to put it on in the background while I work. And I appreciate it when their music is low, when I can also put on some music of my own. Right? That's part of the reason I do streams without music. And so if you want music while you're watching the stream, you don't have to worry about what I'm picking. You can pick your own, and it will match your tastes, and you don't have to worry about mine. Okay? So, for a couple of reasons, my streams are music free for your pleasure. I don't know. But the reality is, you know, streaming is fun. And sometimes those streams can get really silly. And sometimes my streams will get really silly. And they tend to get sillier because chat is there. We'll get some bad joke. I remember it was I was streaming, obviously, and I had somebody popped in a stream joke. So I have a command in my chat, exclamation point joke, and my bot will basically put out a dad joke. Okay. By definition, these are not great jokes. Okay. That they're just not. Partly because those one-liners really are that funny anyway. But they tend to be puns, they tend to be really bad. But it's fun because they're bad, okay? But the joke was something along the lines of, what type of music do mummies like? Rap music. Okay, the joke in and of itself is groan worthy, okay? But that prompted me to improv a rap about being a mummy. And it was hilarious, to me at least. I don't know if the rest of chat was into it, but I sat there spitting bars for a little while because it was just silly, and it was great, and I loved it, right? I remember we were talking about I don't know. We were talking about my wife was making soap or something, and being able to pick the fragrances she liked to put into the soap. And for some reason we got onto, hyper manly soap scents. And it's like, yeah, this soap smells like motor oil and gunpowder. Right. And we went on for like 5 minutes about about the super silliness of, gunpowder scented soap or something. I don't know. But that stuff is so much fun. It's why I love to stream. Even when my audience is not large. Okay? And that's why I'm going to keep doing it. Right? So yeah, if I want to assuage a couple of fears perhaps, or just yeah, I was dealing with some frustration. The bots on Kick were, and it was pretty much just exclusively Kick, but the bots on Kick were just bad. It was intense, and they'd just been pushing my buttons in weird ways anyway. Plus, I was not in a good headspace, in part because of my creator media usage, and actually not even that so much as the websites I was going to for news, because I was reading a bunch of sites that were all hot takes and that were spitting up, they were basically banking on hate and anger for clicks. Okay. And man, I was feeling it. I was not in a good headspace. So all of that combined, and yeah, I sat there and ranted for that podcast, really. And it's a good podcast. You should go listen to it, but it definitely had some frustrations there. But the reality is, the frustrations are never going to stop me from streaming because of all of the good stuff, all the stuff I liked and I still like about streaming, all the stuff I talked about today. This is why I do it. This is why I love streaming. Even though I've got a small audience. And the fact that I have a small audience has some benefits. It really does. So for those of you who do watch the streams, thank you so much. Y'all are awesome and amazing, and I'm so grateful that you choose to spend your time with me on my streams. and that you choose to listen to this podcast, and that you choose to just hang out in the community. You are part of what makes this great. Okay? Yes, I like the tech and I like all that stuff. But really, what makes streaming great is the audience, it is the community. It's it's what makes it special for me. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I cannot thank you enough for hanging out and being part of my community. And until next time, be excellent to each other. And this is Music Freak Static signing off.